Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all of the believers around the world and to all of the people, and especially to my Lord and my Masters, Imam Abbas Sadiq Abdullah Hashim from his peace. So, I wanted to share something. I want to speak something, after reading the Manifesto of the Qa'im, Manifesto of the Mahdis, that is written by him. He mentioned a sentence that struck my heart, When I found this sentence, I was like, yes, this is the solution that the humanity needs. This is the problem that throughout history that humanity is facing. And that sentence is that people let's talk about the people, they are making a revolution without it Moses. This is something that all of the human beings in this earth can experience. It is something that if you look at the history, you will find that people, they try to make a revolution, and then, but yet because they lack their Moses, meaning when we say lack their Moses, we are referring they are lacking a divinely appointed king, divinely appointed leader, a messenger of God of the time, and they make this revolution, try to top out, the tyrants that are ruling them. It's just gonna be another tyrant, replacing them. It's like the people, when the tyrant is ruling them, they got fed up, they got tired of this regime, they gather, and then they try to make a revolution out of it and topple this tyrant's down. But in the end, because of a revolution that is making without its Moses, meaning without a divinely appointed king, in the end, it is just another tyrants replacing that nation. So that's what happens, with Iran, actually. If you can see Iran, in the manifesto book, in the manifesto of the Mahdi, written by Abbas Sadiq, fathers give us an example of Egypt, where people make a revolution without, it's Moses. In the end, it's just another tyrant replacing it, and it got even worse. When this tyrant came to power, replacing it, it got even worse. And the same thing happened. It's like a domino effect. And this actually is something that you can see even in Iran regime. When Khomeini tried, to make a revolution, he was swaying the heart of the people, showing them, look, this guy right here ruling you now is tyrant, and then he came in the name of Ahlul Bayt, he is not even appointed by God. He came in the name of Ahlul Bayt, try to show that, we need to make a revolution and topple these tyrants out. Then we establish a rule. So what happened? People, they make a revolution in Iran, right? By this, so-called people that claims the name of Ahlul Bayt to top out the regime at that time, the tyrants at that time. So what happened when it got topped out? Since Khomeini, he claimed the name of Ahlul Bayt, he is not appointed by God. People take him as a leader. Khomeini established Wilayatul Faqih, or the rule of jurisprudence, claiming to rule in the name of Ahlul Bayt. But in the end, since he is not appointed by God, it is just another tyrant's oppressive ruler replacing this nation. And it will even worse, because he claimed the name of Ahlul Bayt. They claim that they speak on behalf of Ahlul Bayt, but they turn out to be absolute tyrants, that even worse than the previous government. So that's why we see here, it is nothing, I wanted to call to all the people, you guys need to realize on this. You guys, might got tired with the tyrant, got fed up with the ruler that's ruling upon you right now, right? It is no use to make a revolution without its Moses, without a divinely king, that is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, appointed by God. If you go on and make a revolution without its Moses, without the messenger of God of the time, it's just going to be a tyrant replacing you, one after the other, even worse and worse and worse. So that's why it's important. The first thing to solve these matters like mentioned in the Manifesto of Ahmadi, I saw this is something that this is solving the problem of humanity. Is that first thing you have to do? It's not like you go and make revolution first. No. First thing is you need to find a leader who is appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Appointed by God. So he come in the name of God. He's appointed by God. He will lead you to this revolution. So when you guys make a revolution, you guys have a leader who is from God. A leader who is appointed by God with you. And then after you top out the tyrant, then this leader appointed by God can ascend to the throne, and then he will be ruling the nation. His ruling will be equates with God's ruling, because God rules the nation through him. Imagine, guys, God created the whole world, and then suddenly God, doesn't get to rule. Use logic. God created the whole world, and suddenly people push him out, and says we're going to elect our own leader, but then they are pushing God not to rule. I mean, this world, God created, he's the one that's supposed to rule. He's the owner. He's supposed to rule. In order for him to rule, it has to be someone whom he appointed, because he ruled to the man whom he appointed, not by the people. So people now, they need to wake up. They need to return this rulership to God. To God. God created the earth. He is the one that's supposed to rule. It's not for the people that is not appointed by him to rule. Now, people that elected, that elected their own leaders, elected their own kings, not who is not appointed by God. Just you, in your heart, love this king who is not appointed by God, or love this leader or president, what you want to call it, the title, right? Who is not appointed by God. Just you love it in your heart, or just you pleased with him, pleased with this ruler. There is no difference between those who elected with the people that elected them. In the end, you will share the works, everything that this king, this ruler do. Meaning what? Meaning share what? If he kills a lot of people, if he commit a lot of genocide, if he commit a lot of oppression, all of this that he do will also be upon your neck, because you're the one that put this guy in power. Or just because you love him, you please with him. It's the same thing. You will share in all of his work as well. You look how serious this matter is. Unless the people decided that they return back to God, return back to the rulership of God, return back to the supremacy of God, and abandon the supremacy of the people, or in another word, the supremacy of the devil. Why I say the supremacy of the devil? Because those who are not appointed by God, those who assume authority, assume leadership without God's appointment, will automatically be the appointment of the devil. Because devil is opposed the rulership of God from the beginning. He does not want the rulership of God. That's why he refused Adam. So essentially, those who are not appointed by God that rules the people is actually appointed by the devil. So now we have to turn back to the man whom God appointed. This is religion. Now this is very important. So you first need to find your Moses of the time. You have to find your Jesus of the time. You have to find your Muhammad of the time. You have to find the messenger of God of your time. Then if you make a revolution by his leadership, who is sent by God, then only justice and equality can be established. If you make a revolution without a man appointed by God, it's going to be just another tyrant over and over and over again. Going to be dominant effect that going to replacing it and ruling you. It's solve nothing. The only solution is that you have to find a man who is appointed by God first. This is your first step. Then if you make a revolution by under his leadership, this will be justice and equality can be established, because only God, can establish for us this justice and equality. So God sent someone and he ruled the nation through him. So enough is enough. We say enough, shout out enough to the tyrants. With us right now is God. With us right now is the Mahdi. With us is the Qa'im, Abu Sadiq, Abdullah Hashim. From him is peace. He is a man who is God appointed. He is the divinely king, the divinely appointed king now of this time. He is the messenger of God of this time, and he is Moses of its time. Enough is enough for the oppression this day and age. We need to stand up. We need to stand up. We have to turn back to God and his messengers. This is the only way that all of the problem that the humanity facing right now can be solved. Enough is enough. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa al Muhammad ala imma wal mahdiyin wa sallam taslima. Labbaik ya Abu Sadiq, labbaik ya Abu Sadiq, labbaik ya Abu Sadiq. Through the one true king, to the one true person that is appointed by God, Abu Sadiq, Abu Sadiq, Abu Sadiq, the one who is mentioned in the will of Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.